Biggest sports stories are just getting started. From Hawkeyes and Cyclones to the NFL, MLB, NBA, and beyond. This is The Lunch Rush, presented by Circa Sports. Now, here's Trent Condon.
Good morning and welcome in. The Lunch Rush is on the air with you. We made it. It's game week. We have finally got it. It's game week for college football. Week 0 is upon us. We have real games that we're going to be talking about this week. And, of course, leading into week 1 of the college football season. Speaking of week 0 in the books for high school football. And now we get into the nitty-gritty as week 1 is upon us, coming up on Friday night. A great group of games. I'll have the call for you out in Hawkeyes as the Johnston Dragons make their way over to face off against the Hawkeye Warriors, a game that you can hear right here on ESPN Des Moines. We'll take you up until 1 o'clock here today. A lot of football talking, a little baseball as well, a little bit of everything here today. We'll open up the show on the guest list coming up at 11:20 as we will be joined by Eliot Clough from HawkeyeInsider.com. The latest on the Hawkeyes with Eliot will break down, of course, the continued conversation about the quarterback battle and what Eliot has heard from the last week, going back to Kids Day a week ago on Saturday, what practice has been like, the lead up, the position battles. We will get into that and more coming up with Eliot Clough here at about 11:20. Then at 11:40, we'll go to the Cyclones as Bill Seals will join us in our normal Monday spot with Bill. The latest on Iowa State as they get ready for their home opener against CMU, Southeast Missouri State, to kick it off and just trying to figure out this squad. In a way, I might be more excited about seeing Iowa State against CMU as opposed to Northern Illinois against Iowa, just because I want to see this group. I mean, we've been talking about them. We really have no clue. We think we have an idea. We're trying to build at least that knowledge base of the Cyclone team. I just want to see what it looks like in game number 1. And of course, we'll get week 2 then with the Cy-Hawk battle coming up on that front. Then in the 12 o'clock hour, we'll jump over, talk some Major League Baseball. Matt Snyder from CBS Sports.com will join us as he does during the summertime on Mondays. We'll flip over to Tuesdays once football gets started up. And we'll talk with Matt each and every week all the way through the World Series and the MLB playoffs. Really enjoy our conversations each and every week. Plus, he's a Cubs fan. I know you Cubs fans out there like that on top of it. That's coming up here at about 12:15. Though, in a way, I really don't want to talk about Major League Baseball because my Twins, boy, it was ugly over the weekend. A walks all over the place, the bullpen imploding, bad start. It was rough against the Padres. And I love those late night games. As a night owl myself, that is something that I absolutely love when they're playing out there on the West Coast, unless it goes the way that it did. But plenty to talk about Major League Baseball coming up. That's at 12:15. Then at 12:40, Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, will join us. And I believe this is our final week where we will get Mitch each and every day before we get ready for our weekly conversations with Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, presented by Papa John's of Iowa. Big thank you to them. And thank you as well to Graphite Construction Group here on the local front, helping us out with our interviews with Mitch. And when we talk Kansas City Chiefs throughout the course of the season, that's at 12:40. Picks of the day after one of the worst weeks you're ever going to find out of me last week. Drew says not very good for him either. Drew Reinhardt here with me on the radio side. So that's coming up here at 12:50. We will try to turn it around for you this week, and maybe football will be the elixir that we're looking for. Well, here we are today, kicking off this Monday, and it is back to school Monday. Now, bad work out of Dad. Dad just didn't get things moving right at the level that we need. So at the Condon household, things are a little bit different. My wife gets up at 4:30. She goes to the gym. She's back home. She's showered. She's off to work. She leaves at like 6:55. Nobody else in the house is awake. I mean, she's done all that and accomplished a lot more, as she usually accomplishes a lot more than Dad does on that front. So it is Daddy. Well, it's not daycare, but it's Dad getting ready things ready in the morning. So my daughter, Ella, she's starting 6th grade. And Ella knows everything. This is in West Des Moines. That is the final year of elementary school, middle school, 7th and 8th, then they got the freshman school. But last year of elementary, and sadly, this is going to be the last year that Ella and my son Jack are going to be together in a school. This will be the last time that we will have that, as we had a pretty big gap between the two kids. So because of that, this is going to be the final time. Well, yesterday, she's talking to the neighbors, her friends, and they're going to walk to school. So, all right, not going to have the traditional drop-off with my daughter. So she gets up. She's off and running. She's getting ready for the day. She's all good, getting Jack ready. And as we are, well, we got to take our pictures, right? We got to go out on the front stoop and got to take those pictures as we do every single year. Well, her friends were already at the house. And, of course, she's trying to act cool, just shaking my head. Here we go. Once again, the 6th grader, much different than my little girl now, thinking that it was good. Jack, on the other hand, big smiles. He's got his... Now, Drew, as a youngster, you might be able to help me out here. This is a new thing. Well, not that new. It's been going on for a couple of years. The like cupcake, like shorts and backpack. This is something that has taken over youth baseball, where you see all the kids with the swag. You see a little bit in that Little League World Series. Jack thinks that he's the same thing. So that's what he's wearing today. He's got the cupcake shorts on. He's got the new backpack that's got the cupcake. I don't get it. Man, I feel old.
Yeah, no, I had the Walmart backpack on, and I had the cargo shorts. Nothing too fancy over here.
Yeah, we never had anything crazy like that. Yeah, didn't have the drip.
Yeah, yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, the drip.
Did I use that right?
That is right.
All right. Old man Condon's going to knock it off here. So we kick off the week with that, and we get into, of course, the world of football. So as we kick things off today, want to start with a local story and something that is so fun, so enjoyable. It is the Little League World Series. And if you've heard me before, had an opportunity now, I think it was 12 years ago, to go out there when the Johnston Little League squad made it, covered the team, told you the story. My buddy Newhouse, his son was on the team, so got to hang out with him. Just a great time and just such an experience. It really is for somebody that watched the Little League World Series. I remember vividly at that age when back then I think it was maybe just the U.S. Championship game was on. And then after that, you would get the World Championship, and watching those games, how cool it'd be to be in that opportunity. And we've had local people, Lucas Strain, of course, he played there with the Urbandale Little League squad, and just the experience and being able to see what it's like, actually see it, see what you see on TV and what they do for the experience. And now that they've added the Major League game, you see these major leaguers and just how much fun they have with it too. Major League Baseball, look, there's going to be a lot of negativity coming this offseason as we lead to likely a labor stoppage and what that's going to mean for the sport. But in the here and now, from the Field of Dream games a couple of weeks ago to what we saw last night, just absolutely awesome. It really is what they're able to do and put together that show, make the experience so special. We have something special going on here with our in-state team. It's a team from over in Davenport. This team is absolutely loaded, back-to-back. Let's listen a little bit yesterday as Iowa goes to 2-0 and now closing in one game away from the U.S. Championship.
Johnson, a 3-run ding-dong. It's 6-0.
And now these two pitchers have just been lights out.
3-2 right down the middle. Strikeout number 15 to end the day for Anthony Johnson Jr. What a starring role he played today. He gone. That's it. 16 punch-outs for the Davenport, Iowa team. They improved to 2-0 on as dominant a back-to-back start as you're ever going to see.
Yeah, there was the call yesterday, and it was great to hear Carl Ravitch for the final time on the call. Also on top of it, that game was on ABC. So we're wrapping up our softball tournament. Got to listen to the end of the game. Ella was watching on the phone. I had it on the speakers on the drive home before she fell asleep. We had an early wake-up call, so she didn't make it all the way back from Ankeny after the softball tournament yesterday. But here in the end of the game, Anthony Johnson with that just absolutely towering shot. And this squad, so many times we see in the Little League World Series, it's about a guy. It's about having a stud. And then when that stud's not available on the mound, a lot of these teams become pretty average. When you have a 1-2 punch like that, a lot of people thought that New Jersey team had an opportunity themselves to be a team in the U.S. Championship. It was domination again. And when you have two guys like this on the mound, like this Iowa squad does, it's going to go a long way. And you can already feel the growth. I was at Vero this morning getting my adjustment, and right away the doctor, hey, did you watch a Little League World? I'm hearing from friends. Like, you can see the momentum start to build, and that's something that is incredibly fun to see, is the great thing about our state, we love any connection to our state. And it doesn't matter if they're over in Davenport or wherever corner of the state you are, the way that people really rally around something like that. And I think you can see the momentum definitely building. I believe Wednesday is when they play next. If they win that one, they will be in the U.S. Championship game. If they lose, they'll have to come back Thursday and win that one in an elimination game to get there, facing off against, is it Utah?
Nevada. Nevada.
Nevada. No.
Not Nevada.
Not Nevada. Not the Nevada Cubs. Nevada, the team from the state of Nevada. That's coming up. So it's going to be really, really fun and something that just gets us through that off season, gets us into football season. We're always looking to build a bridge to get to football season. And this has been another one that's been incredibly fun to watch and a great call and a great experience for this squad. And they look like they're going to be ready to go. I mean, you put together that kind of performance, definitely a team that's going to be great to see. Got a couple other things I want to touch on here at the top. And one of the stories is, in a way, befuddling, but in a way, just shows us how different, how much has changed in college athletics. So, Dae'Quan Wright, the tight end formerly of Ole Miss, undrafted free agent, went off, and he was amongst the players that we mentioned, the 16 players that were involved in the suit, looking for a restraining order to restore their college eligibility of the 16 guys that were down in Louisiana. Now, initially, there's been court cases in Colorado. We've seen basketball players in Ohio. There's these cases that are happening all across the country. Though things were struck down last week on one of the elements, one that was not, is this one that took place in Louisiana. We talked about the local connection and a potential reunion of Aaron Graves making his way back to Iowa City. I do know that there's been conversations with the agent. I don't know if Aaron Graves is even interested. And heck, he still might make the team. I don't think it's likely, but he still could make the Baltimore Ravens. That's a conversation for a different time. Back to Wright and this one. For a guy to ask for his release from the NFL to go back to college just shows you how absolutely broken this system is. This is not a guy that was already cut. This is not a guy that was not in a training camp and was looking for a home. This is a guy that was vying for a spot on an NFL roster, and he said, I'm good. I'm going back. Now, the payday can be much different. And if you look through the minimum salary for a rookie, the rookie scale contract now, if you're on a roster throughout the course of the season, is $450,000. However, if you're on a practice squad, that diminishes. It's about $250 is what you get if you're on a practice squad and never get called up to the big club throughout the course of the team. Now, we know there's plenty of colleges that can pay a whole lot more. And even for a guy that's going to be likely starter, a good tight end at minimum for you, a place like LSU, yeah, that's probably $500,000, maybe up to $1 million as you try to sweeten the pot in order to make that happen. But you talk about a broken system. And then you have these 16 players that go to the right state, get the right judge, find a friendly judge, and they're going to be eligible. And then you have other guys like Davion Banks, who was looking to potentially go to LSU, potentially go to other places. Gonzaga was amongst the finalists that he put out, the 4 teams that were on his list. We talk about guys that are going to be getting cut. And that's what we're getting closer to after week 3 of the preseason, all the cut downs and all these guys that are going to be looking for homes and not looking for homes at NFL rosters or different football leagues that are out there. No, they're going to be looking to get back to college, but they have to get a friendly judge in order to do that. And the one thing that stuck in my mind is we always love to localize everything. And what's happening is there a local judge in Iowa that would grant an injunction like that would give something that would allow athletes here? Because as we've seen these court cases, and there's been court cases that have been in the public eye and outside the public eye in the state of Iowa, they don't get a ton of press. We don't got Ross Dellinger talking about these cases like he does. And of course, he also covered LSU. So that's a reason that you get a lot of those connections that Dellinger has on top of it. But we don't have those kind of, I guess, resources or somebody that is following it at the same level. And because of that, we just don't know. We just don't know if there is that friendly judge. But for a Hawkeye fan, a Cyclone fan, a Panther, Bulldog, and everybody else, it'd be nice to see if we do have that judge. Maybe I'll make some calls. I know some lawyers. Maybe I'll make a call and see, hey, is there a friendly judge out there? Let's get these things happening here in our state if you want to go that direction. Now, there is the other side, and it feels gross. And some colleges are going to get away with it. Some athletic departments can get away with it. Others can't. And it's just that continued divide that happens in college athletics when you have that front. Found this one interesting today, and this is from The Athletic. As we get ready for the football season, we've talked a ton about the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones and what the rosters look like and everything that goes into it. So this is a rundown of the most and least experienced college football teams coming up this season. This is, David Ubben wrote the piece along with Sam Kahn, players that have played a lot of snaps, players that have played at the power conference level. It is just a rundown of the 68 teams. We have mentioned in the past, there's been some reporting out there that has experience, and we know that Iowa is the most inexperienced team at the Power 4 level. So this is looking at snaps, starts, and games played throughout the course of their career. The big thing that jumped off. So Iowa, yes, in the list and the way that they comprised it, yes, they are the least experienced team coming into the season. But it was just the gap between Iowa and even the second least experienced team. So North Carolina is the second least experienced team. Iowa, number 68 on this list, that is last, 23,000 and change career snaps. One spot ahead of them, North Carolina, has almost 5,000 more snaps. I mean, that gap, that 5,000 gap, that is like the difference between a team, let's see here, as I'm kind of rolling through. Let's say South Carolina, they're number 10 on the list. That'd be like going down to number 31, Duke. That's how big the gap is between Iowa and the second least experienced team coming into the season. We know Iowa State. We'd anticipate with the roster overhaul that they're going to be inexperienced, and they are. They're 49th on the list with 34,000 career snaps in their career. Career starts, though, actually, Iowa State's pretty decent, that one, at 449. But in every metric that you look at, Iowa, dead last in experience. Career snaps, just over 23,000. Career starts, 246. Career games, 979. And that is when we talked about the Hawkeyes, the reason that it is difficult for me to be incredibly optimistic about this squad. Yes, the question marks that we have, quarterback, who's it going to be? Is Hecklinski going to be the guy? Is it going to be a back and forth? Kirk's brain being broken when it comes to quarterback, all the conversations that we've had on that front. Defensive tackle. We brought up a couple of years where they've struggled or been young or inexperienced inside. And that has translated to the Phil Parker defense not being at the same elite level that we're used to. Special teams could be a mess this year. And if that's a mess and all these things happen, you're going to go very quickly from, well, the floor is 8 wins. Maybe they win 9. Maybe they can put together 10 to 7-5. Could it be worse than that? The inexperience level. And something that I brought up with Kirk Ferentz, and when we talked with him a week ago Friday over at Iowa Football Media Day, was about the lack of seniors on this squad. Yes, they have guys that have played. They have veterans. They have guys that'll have an opportunity maybe to move on or come back with Zach Lutmer and Trevor Lauk and Cade Pieper and DJ Vanami, all these guys that are big-time players and have played football already for them. It's just something that lingers. Kirk Ferentz loves to talk about leadership and the leadership component. It is a different look for this squad. I think there was a method to the madness when they went out into the transfer portal and made the decision that they were going to go and get multi-year guys, not just one-year rentals, not guys that are going to come in for the season, but guys that are going to build up and play multiple years for the team. And because of that, I'm just left looking at this and saying, this could be an issue that maybe people don't see. You kind of talk about the players, you talk about what you expect, and this could be an issue. Getting over that hump and all those 3-point victories and the close games that goes Iowa's way with questionable special teams and a couple other question marks and not having those guys that have been through it at the same level that they normally do. That could be the difference between a nice solid 9-3 season and a very ho-hum 7-5. That was from The Athletic. Another note on that one as we continue through. Let's get into the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones a little bit more. We're going to be joined first by Eliot Clough from HawkeyeInsider.com. The latest on the Hawkeyes, how practice has been after the open practice. And over the weekend, Iowa had a big scrimmage as well. We'll see if Eliot's got anything for us on that front. And then we'll be joined by Bill Seals from Cyclone Report. Stay right there. It is your daily dose of sports talk here in the midday and your only live and local radio show each and every day here on ESPN Des Moines, 102.1 FM and 1350 AM, along with streaming everywhere at rushradio.com and on the Rush Radio Network. And you can also watch us each and every day. Just search The Rush on YouTube. You can find us there. You can also find the stream on X, on old Twitter. You can find it as well. Just search Lunch Rush 515. You'll see us pop up each and every day. Talking Hawkeyes first as Eliot Clough joins us coming up on the other side. Stay right there on the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports on the Rush Radio Network and ESPN Des Moines.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas
is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. Trent Condon here for Circa Sports. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
We are ready. We've waited for this one for a long time. The anticipation, the excitement, the intensity. The teams are on the field looking to build on last week's success.
Construction doesn't need a play-by-play call, but it does need a team. Like the team at Graphite Construction Group. From concept to planning to building completion, our team is with you every step of the way.
And the beam is up.
Mitch, this isn't a field goal.
You mean like it's a touchdown? Graphite Construction Group.
Graphite Construction Group. We build it better.
So, Russ, what do you do in the offseason?
Mitch, we don't have an off-season.
Family owned since 1970, Kemker's True Value and Rental helps you buy what you want and rent what you need. Get to work on that to-do list with help from Kemker's True Value and Rental. Kemker's has all your hardware needs, grills for that family barbecue, and a one-stop shop for all your lawn and garden needs. Plus, their rental catalog is perfect for do-it-yourselfers. Make it Kemker's True Value and Rental. Find out what they can do for you at KemkersTrueValue.com. That's KemkersTrueValue.com.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kelsey Edwards with Fuller Associates Family Dentistry. I'd like to invite you to join our practice. If you're looking for a new dentist or accepting new patients, I'd love to create the smile you deserve in a judgment-free zone. We have 2 convenient locations to choose from in Des Moines and Altoona and offer extended evening hours. As a third-generation dentist, I've had the pleasure of following in my grandfather's footsteps and now working alongside Dr. Stephen Fuller. You can find Fuller Associates Family Dentistry on Facebook or Instagram or by calling us at 515-266-3437.
Before, during, or after the game, your football headquarters for this year is Bevy's in West Des Moines. Bevy's after a football Friday night, Bevy's for college Saturday, and Bevy's for all the pro football action. A great brunch menu to get you ready for your football watching on the weekend. And it doesn't matter your team, you know you'll be covered at Bevy's because they love football just like you. Bevy's Tavern, 1350th Street in West Des Moines. Bevy's is your football headquarters. Joined by Dr. Heidi Bell with Elite Eye Care. It's football season. Concussions always a big topic.
This year, 2 to 3 million sports-related concussions will occur, and about half of those go unreported. 2 out of every 10 high school students will suffer a concussion. The most important part is following through with your doctor, but the recommendations are different than they used to be. At Elite Eye Care, we can diagnose and treat the post-concussion visual symptoms that typically exist.
That's Dr. Heidi Bell with Elite Eye Care, with locations in Waukee, 2 in Ankeny, and the newest location in Norwalk for Elite Eye Care. Every athlete trains their body, but what about their mind? Here's Will Niggett, certified mental performance consultant with Mental Game Learning Lab.
At Mental Game Learning Lab, athletes learn the skills that separate good from great: confidence, focus, resilience, and handling pressure. Because the mental game impacts every practice, every performance, and every comeback after adversity. Whether your athlete is just starting out or competing at a high level, mental training can make the difference.
Mental Game Learning Lab, training minds for stronger performance in sports and life. Online, mentalgamelearninglab.com.
We want you at Sonorama. We make all the signs, you just make the commas. Stress-free life out in the Bahamas. If you need a life without any drama, it's just Sonorama. Over 700 locations. We got owners spanning all across the nations. Imagine what we do with the next generation. Everything here, just a big celebration. 1986 when we started it all. Looking at us now, I wouldn't change it at all. We don't want to make this too complex. Hit us in the contacts, let's set up a contract. We want you at Sonorama.
Sinorama of Urbandale, 10301 Dennis Drive in Urbandale. Online, sinorama.com/IA-Urbandale.
From Hawkeyes to Cyclones, the NFL to the NBA, the Lunch Rush rolls on with Trent Condon.
Back with you until 1 o'clock. It's Trent Condon here with you at the Lunch Rush, presented by Circa Sports on the Rush Radio Network and ESPN Des Moines. Let's talk some Hawkeyes. Eliot Clough joining us from HawkeyeInsider.com, part of 24/7 Sports. Eliot, good to talk once again. Enjoy these conversations to kick off the week, and we will have, though no Iowa game to react to, we'll have college football to react to next Monday, which feels so good. And USC against San Jose State, I guess with the Big Ten slate, that's good. That's going to have to get us going. How you doing today, Eliot?
I'm good. How are you, Trent?
Doing very well. We had a very interesting nugget up over at HawkeyeInsider.com about practice over the weekend. You also answered in that one of the questions. I wasn't sure when their big final scrimmage was going to be. Sounds like that's going to be next Saturday. So that didn't happen over the weekend, just a normal practice. Do I have that right? And kind of take us into that big final scrimmage, that final push before we get ready for game week, and just how important that final practice, very well, that final scrimmage, I should say, is for the team.
Yeah, that's what I deduced based on the information that I shared there on the board. I don't have that necessarily, set in stone, but that's the way it sounded. I should probably, I will double check on that and make sure that that's this coming weekend. But that's as important as it gets right now, given the quarterback situation with the Hawkeyes, how close it is, what expectations are for both Hank Brown and Jeremy Hecklinski. And given the circumstances, man, everything that I've heard is Kids Day was not the perfect picture of what it's looked like behind the scenes, making this decision awfully difficult for Kirk Ferentz and staff. So Saturday, really important. Hecklinski's got to have a good performance. Hank Brown, probably about as consistent as either of them have been throughout camp. The problem is that consistency isn't quite the big highlight playmaking that we see from Hecklinski when things are going well for him. And then, the downs can be pretty far down for Hecklinski. So I don't know that the competition or the scrimmage on Saturday will necessarily determine who is the starting quarterback against Northern Illinois, but it definitely doesn't. It does have an impact on what Kirk Ferentz and the Hawkeyes want to do in terms of that quarterback competition.
Eliot, I feel like I'm starting to dig my heels in a little bit, and I know it's one of 20 practices here in August. We shouldn't overreact to what we saw at Kids Day, but it's not just that. It's coupled with Hank Brown, the struggles against Indiana, the missed screen pass, what we saw in his one conference start in the SEC against a pretty average Arkansas team, 3 interceptions when he was at Auburn. It's all of it, where you have a guy that looks the part. He's 6'4", he can throw it through an absolute window. The guy's got a hose, he's got everything, but when the lights are on, we just haven't seen it translate here. I think we're seeing that we have one guy that's a gamer and another guy that is a practice all-star, but not translating to the games. Can you see it in that route? And if that is the case, how difficult does it make that for Kirk Ferentz, who believes so much that practice really matters?
Yeah, you can't say that practice doesn't matter, right? Like, if that's where you're getting the most the most consistent view at your quarterbacks, you can't disregard it. We'll say that. But at the same time, like you said, if one of these guys is a gamer, you have to give him a chance to be a gamer in Jeremy Hecklinski. And given what the public has seen, given what we know about the recent history at quarterback at Iowa, you got to give Hecklinski that shot, in my opinion, to be the starter, to earn those reps, to, like I said, to be a gamer against, and especially against the G5 competition in Northern Illinois, playing FCS team in UNI in week 3. Give him that chance to get comfortable, to be the gamer that he is, and to compete for that job with Hank. You mentioned he's got the physical tools, but how much are those physical tools really helping him get an advantage over Hecklinski? We saw it at Kids Day. He had 2 passes get batted down. We've seen it, or maybe it might have been 3. I forgive me if I'm wrong there, but had a pass get batted down in a clip that was shared by Iowa. We haven't seen that problem with Hecklinski, who is listed about 6 inches shorter. He might be like 7 or 8 inches shorter than Hank Brown in all reality. So, it's one of those things where, again, in practice, you're not getting hit either. And how much does that impact the play of both of these guys when the actual game kicks off and how things go against Northern Illinois and Iowa State and UNI? as the season progresses early on. So lots to consider, lots to put it's hard to put a ton of stock into the practice as much as maybe Kirk Ferentz wants to, given that they're not taking hits, that they know they're not going to be hit in practice. So, and I don't envy Kirk in having to make this decision.
Absolutely going to be incredibly difficult. And even what we see as we have the question mark, certainly with Iowa State this year, Northern Illinois moving into the Mountain West this year, looks like they're going to be taking a step back perhaps from what they are. UNI, not the program that they once were. Even if one of these two guys plays better during the non-conference, are you going to feel confident going into the Big House that either of the quarterbacks is going to be good to go and they're just going to hit the ground running against the Wolverines?
No. That was an easy one, Trent.
Yeah.
You know, we just released our VIP game-by-game predictions, and I just don't see a scenario where, unless, Hat comes out and lights the world on fire in those first 3 games and is really riding high. Really, I mean, he's not a guy that loses confidence, right? He's about as confident as they come, and can really ride that high and ride that hot streak. If that does happen in those first 3 games, maybe something like that can come together. I'll share it right now. I predicted Iowa to lose all 3, Michigan, Ohio State, and Washington, in that stretch. And a lot of it for me is because of the uncertainty around quarterback. I mean, if you're not solid under center, the guy who's touching the ball on every play, how can you be confident going into the Big House, playing preseason, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country, if not the favorite to win the national title, and then going on the road on the West Coast on Friday against a team that can be as explosive as just about anybody in the Big Ten in Washington and Damon Williams. So, yeah, no, I am not super confident going into that stretch. I can be honest when I say that.
So one of the questions that is certainly still there with this squad is defensive tackle. And I think Bryce Hawthorne at minimum will be solid there in the middle. We'll see about the guys, the veterans that have been around for a long time, walk-ons, Luke Gaffney and Will Hubert, what they can do. Some of the young guys that I'm excited about the upside of Devin Kennedy. Now we need to see it translate onto the field. But the other lingering question going back to a week ago is about Aaron Graves, when there was an injunction that was handed out giving the class of 2022 their eligibility back, and then that was taken away, and now we got this court case in Louisiana where we got guys leaving the Browns to go to LSU. It just on and on and on. There's so much craziness here. First, I do know that there's been conversations at minimum with Iowa and the agent for Aaron Graves, but we have no idea. He's got a young kid. We don't know what camp's going to look like, if he's going to be on the practice squad for the Ravens. But that aside, both defensive tackle and anything more that you've heard on the Aaron Graves situation.
Yeah, that one remains up in the air for the moment, given, like you said, all the issue with the courts. I mean, it's just a further example of how the NCAA just botched it from the beginning, how this stuff continues to happen. It's just lawsuit after lawsuit. It's just what happened to the game I love, Trent,
Right.
But, if you're Iowa and there's a situation that it really can come to fruition, it becomes more and more realistic as you find out where Aaron Graves is at on that, supposed depth chart, if he's able to make a practice squad, if he's able to find a spot on that 53-man roster or not. Man, if you can get him back, Kirk Ferentz, this program is built on values. It's built on, honoring the players and honoring the commitment they made. Man, if you can get Aaron Graves back, you take it 10 times out of 10. That is just the situation, especially not just, you'd probably say that every year, even if you feel really good about the defensive line, right? After losing a guy like Graves, but just how good he was, how athletic he was, how he was involved in the rotation and part of the defense all 4 years. I mean, you just don't skip on a guy like that, a guy who was such a culture fit too. If you can get that guy back, you take that guy back 10 times out of 10. So no update as we currently sit. Like you said, we do know that there have been conversations and some stuff going on behind the scenes, looking at the possibility of Aaron Graves returning to Iowa City, but nothing solid at this moment in time. Regarding who would start right now, I think, obviously Hawthorne is the obvious, but I think as of this moment, my pick would be Will Hubert to start next to him on the defensive line, walk on there. with an opportunity to step in and be a hole plugging one tech defensive tackle that helps out the efforts in the middle.
Eliot, we talked back in the spring when they were going through and coming out of the portal, and a guy that intrigues me so much is Emmanuel Abalju, who you mentioned he looks like Hulk out there, I think was the quote that you had back in the springtime. Standing next to him and interviewing him last Friday, yeah, he looks so different than anybody else, but does it translate? I mean, can the guy play? And even if it is 10, 12, 15 snaps a game, is he even at that level? I know he wasn't out there at Kids Day, so we didn't get a glimpse of him. Or is that just maybe more hopeful than anything, even that he could provide that?
Man, Trent, really good questions today. I tell you what, I think that's your hope is 12 to 20 snaps right now, at least to start the season. Maybe he integrates himself, gets used to the physicality, gets used to the size, gets used to what his role is on the defensive line, and that increases as the season goes along. But given the fact that he didn't participate in Kids Day, I'm as far as I know, that was just precautionary bumps and bruises kind of stuff. But I mean, with a guy that size, with that type of strength, all you can do right now, especially coming from a place where he didn't have a ton of production at North Dakota and then as well as St. Thomas, I think that's just where, much like the rest of the defensive line, you hope and pray that some of that stuff comes to fruition this season sooner rather than later. And, as we've discussed with the quarterback situation, you see that you've got an opportunity in these first 3 games to get some stuff figured out. Hope that defensive line gets shored up and some of those roles fill out a little bit more consistently, that you get to test the waters with some of these guys in these first 3 games, see how you feel, and see if you got any gamers on the defensive line too, I guess.
Eliot Clough, couple more minutes with Eliot before we run out of time. Eliot, want to jump in? You had the report at the quarterback spot, kind of what you're hearing inside of practice. Again, we got the glimpse. Anything else pop out? A name of a player that has been practicing well? Anything else that you popped out, gathering your information and your intel?
As of this moment, I wouldn't say anything has been super, super prominent. I think you can really look back at Kids Day and continue to take away stuff from there regarding Evan James and just how good he was at that practice. I think he may have subsumed that wide receiver 3 spot. I say that the top 4 are very much Tony Diaz, Reese Vander-Zee, Evan James, and Dayton Howard. And I think Evan James has really just continued to ascend through camp. Same can be said of LJ Phillips. Do I think he's going to be the bell cow this year? Not necessarily. I still would lean Kamari Moulton, but LJ Phillips, man, I think we underrated his explosiveness, just tabbing him as a guy that can be a bowling ball that, breaks a bunch of tackles. I think his quickness, I think his burst is pretty underrated at this point. I think we got to see a little bit of that at Kids Day. Foot speed, his patience, his vision, I think is really impressive. And I think he's underrated as a pass catcher out of the backfield too, if you need him to do something like that. That's something that I've heard behind the scenes as well. But I think Jacob Wallace is another guy to watch right now. That's kind of obvious. I'm really intrigued as to how quickly Tyler Brown returns and what Anthony Hawkins looks like at strong safety. We got a little bit of that. He had that pass breakup against Dayton Howard in the end zone early on. I think that was a pass from Hank Brown. But the situation there, I really thought they would have moved Zach Lutmer to strong safety and have Hawkins at free, just because of the physical tools, and Hawkins looks more of a free safety than a strong. But that is one to watch. How much has he ascended, and has he ascended to the point where if Tyler Brown is able to come back, does Anthony Hawkins still get some snaps on defense, and whether it's in specific packages or just in a regular 4-2-5, and where does Jalen Watson fit in? Heard some bits about him playing cash as well as corner. And speaking of which, I guess there is another one that I haven't mentioned. Cody Haddad, transfer from Ohio State, did hear from behind the scenes that he had a couple interceptions in practice the other day. Now that's not going to be of Hecklinski or Hank Brown, more than likely, probably of Jimmy Sullivan or Traden Messenger or Fitzgerald, but Brian Fitzgerald. But that Ohio State transfer, that's something to keep an eye on. Had a couple picks. He's playing a mixture of cash, free safety, strong safety. The upside is absolutely there. That room went from there's nobody in there to they have a bunch of guys between all the transfers they brought in. So Haddad is one that I'm keeping my eye on. Definitely special teams more than anything this year, but the potential is absolutely there going forward.
Finally, Eliot, you mentioned earlier, you, Sean, David, all put out your season game-by-game predictions at HawkeyeInsider.com, and reading through it, a lot of optimism out of your group. Nobody went the other way, so everybody, I'll just put it this way, everybody's on the over of 7.5 wins.
Yeah, how can you pick under at this point? I mean, Kirk just churns out 8 wins season by season. That's just Iowa football right there. So, and that and the over/under is always going to be 7.5. That's just Iowa football right there too, and how the books see Iowa. I mentioned the 3 losses to Michigan, Ohio State, and Washington, but after that, I think Iowa has a real chance to run the table, especially given that they play Northwestern, Purdue in that back half. That's that Minnesota, who they've had the advantage over the Gophers for a long time. And then you go to Illinois, and that's in November. And Iowa, that's when they play their best ball. So that's probably their other difficult game if you had to pick one outside of that three game stretch. So I think Iowa could pull that one off too. And I am a believer in maybe the schedule more than what Iowa is, given that 3-game stretch and how they perform in the back half of the season, how Kirk keeps his guys engaged, even if they lose a few games early on. So it'll be, this season can go so many ways, Trent, so many ways. If they pull off one of those games, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, then we could be talking about playoff. I don't think playoff is super realistic with this team. I don't. But if they win 1 or 2 of those games, if they win 2 of those games, Trent, then we're having a very different conversation, and I'm very wrong. But we shall see how things pan out.
Give themselves a big cushion if it plays out in that direction. 60% off an annual VIP membership right now, HawkeyeInsider.com, where you can find Eliot Clough's work along with David Eicholt and Sean Bach. Eliot, as always, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thanks, Trent.
We go from the Hawkeyes to the Cyclones. Bill Seals joins us coming up on the other side. Stay right there. It's the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports on the Rush Radio Network and ESPN Des Moines.
Every business has priorities.
Get in on the action with the world's largest sport.
As a service provider, we prioritize quality air conditioners and furnaces that will keep your home at your comfort level year-round. As a small business, we prioritize doing things the right way and treating people fairly. As a truly local business, we prioritize our community. As a veteran-owned business, we prioritize duty and commitment. For big business service with local value, trust your home to the place where you are always priority one.
Hey, Tanner with Liberty Lawn and Landscape here. We are now booking, so get a hold of us to schedule your next project today. Serving the Des Moines Metro, we specialize in a variety of services such as retaining walls, paver patios, edging and rocking, and much more. Now offering 3D renderings to show you exactly how your project will look before beginning. Liberty is proudly veteran-owned and ready to serve you today.
The Lunch Rush will be right back, but so will more local, live, and everyday sports programs on the Rush Radio Network. Wake up with Travis Justice and Ross Peterson on The Rush from 6 to 8 a.m. and finish your day with Beyond the Bench with Sean Roberts and Lucas Strain from 4 to 6. Every show, every day on the Rush Radio Network.
There are a lot of reasons to want a self-driving mower from Iowa Mobotics.
Being automated gives me more time to do my hobbies.
I travel so much for work that I don't have time to take care of the lawn, but I still care about how it looks.
And I'm just lazy. Gives me time to work in the wood shop instead of spending it on the mower.
It works in my schedule.
And I just really hate doing it.
No matter your reason, with Iowa Mobotics, spend less time mowing, more time living.
And we ain't gonna drip back, building up a brand, and we always keep it intact.
I'm a lifelong sports bettor and owner of Circa Sports. We built this platform for bettors that want high limits and total transparency.
Featuring tight money line splits, lowest holds,
and exceptional live customer service.
Hi, how may I help you today?
Download your new bookie today. Circa Sports. Start betting like a pro.
Every business has priorities, and Priority One Heating and Cooling is no different. As a service provider, we prioritize quality air conditioners and furnaces that will keep your home at your comfort level year-round. As a small business, we prioritize doing things the right way and treating people fairly. As a truly local business, we prioritize our community. As a veteran-owned business, we prioritize duty and commitment. For big business service with local value, trust your home to the place where you are always Priority One.
Hey, Tanner with Liberty Lawn and Landscape here. We are now booking, so get a hold of us to schedule your next project today. Serving the Des Moines Metro, we specialize in a variety of services such as retaining walls, paver patios, edging and rocking, and much more. Now offering 3D renderings to show you exactly how your project will look before beginning. Liberty is proudly veteran-owned and ready to serve you today.
The Lunch Rush will be right back, but so will more local, live, and everyday sports programs on the Rush Radio Network. Wake up with Travis Justice and Ross Peterson on The Rush from 6 to 8 a.m. and finish your day with Beyond the Bench with Sean Roberts and Lucas Strain from 4 to 6. Every show, every day on the Rush Radio Network.
There are a lot of reasons to want a self-driving mower from Iowa Mobotics.
Being automated gives me more time to do my hobbies.
I travel so much for work that I don't have time to take care of the lawn, but I still care about how it looks.
And I'm just lazy. Gives me time to work in the wood shop instead of spending it on the mower.
It works in my schedule.
And I just really hate doing it. No matter your reason, with Iowa Mobotics, spend less time mowing, more time living.
Comfort is our priority.
Fresh takes, local insight, and all the sports that matter to Iowa. Back to the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon on 102.1 FM and 1350 ESPN Des Moines.
Trent Condon back with you once again as we take you up until 1 o'clock, your daily dose of sports talk right here on ESPN Des Moines and everywhere on the Rush Radio Network, including YouTube, where you can watch us each and every day. Let's talk Cyclones. Bill Seals joining us from Cyclone Report, part of On 3. Bill, we're getting closer, and we're going to have real football coming up this weekend. Not preseason games. We got high school games on Friday night. Week 0 of college football. Bill, we've almost made it to football season.
Yeah, it's crazy. Every off season seems a little different. Well, they always are a little different, but this one a lot more so than others for us in the Iowa State media and Cyclone fans. So, yeah, I mean, just to be a little bit closer to finally seeing this this Jimmy Rogers-led team on the field is going to be great.
I mentioned at the top of the show today, I think I'm more excited to watch Iowa State against SEMO as opposed to Iowa, Northern Illinois to kick off the season, just because we're trying to figure out this team. I want to see it at this point. We have gone through all the way through kind of all the different storylines, all the position groups. Now it just feels like it is time. We got to see these guys on the field.
Yeah, I really do. And it's kind of an interesting comparison, I guess, when, Iowa State and Iowa. I think with Iowa, you've seen under Kirk Ferentz so many of these season openers, you probably know what you're going to get. Whereas with this Iowa State one, it will be really interesting because, I really want to see the offense first and foremost. I think, defensively, we know what we're going to get. A lot out of what we're going to get. You just watch Washington State 2025, and I think you've got a pretty good idea of how this defense is going to look. But, offensively, we want to see the offensive line, the ground game, how that's going to look with Flora and Petaway. So just so much, I think, especially on the offensive side again. And will they be able to kind of get the upper hand on that side of the ball and dominate up front, gain the advantage there, and we, I think we'll really, at that point, if they can do that, we'll get a pretty good sense of this Tyler Roll offense.
Speak of that offense, and we've talked a ton about Aiden Flora, that transition now going from a return man deep on the depth chart at running back, and now he's going to get the opportunity for Aiden Flora. He's added certainly weight to his frame throughout his a couple of seasons in Ames, and definitely you can see the physicality that he goes through there, but it's not an overly deep roster at the running back spot. Injuries a part of that that have happened for this squad early on. Do you think it's going to be Flora and then everybody else, or is it going to be more of a timeshare at the running back spot?
Well, I think it'll be a timeshare on the running back side, Trent. I just don't see them getting to a point where they're going to turn Aiden Flora into like a David Montgomery or a Breece Hall, getting 20 to 25 carries a game. I don't think that's realistic. I do think, though, that he's a guy they hope to maybe get to 10 to maybe closer to 15 carries a game. I think you're going to see Cameron Petaway. Again, he's going to play a role. I think he's the better receiver of the two. How he does picking up the blitz, that's another thing I really want to kind of watch too, how this group is in pass protection. But, Petaway's the more established guy, I think, as a receiver, can be a home run hitter, a guy maybe on third down. And then we'll see. We'll see beyond those two. I think those two, there's going to be a share between them, probably not an Abu Sama, Carson Hansen type of share where it's, maybe a 60-40, 55-45, 50-50 even. We saw some games. I think it'll probably be more Flora there, but would be nice. And again, how this group does in that season opener will allow us maybe to see a little more Arnold Barnes or, I think River Peppers, maybe he could get cleared in time for this opener. Would be a great time to get him some snaps. We're hearing a lot about Caleb Francois too, the true freshman from Minnesota, this 5-for-5 rule. There's no longer a worry about burning his 4 games up. He's good to go 5-for-5. So I think Jimmy Rogers would love to get him in there and get him some carries too.
Back to last week on Wednesday with Media Day, one thing that stood out is reading through the transcript is him talking about the game management part, because it's something that, for what I do, it drives me crazy. The time management, I think, in general, of college football coaches suck. I think for the most part, they have no clue. I think they need to get on the sticks and maybe play a little PS5 and get on there, because some of the time management things, when early in the third quarter and a team, it's 3rd and 8, and you're going to blow a timeout, like, what are you doing? 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 13 are basically statistically the same, and those 3 timeouts, you only get 3 of them. Things like that drive me crazy, and that attention to detail feels like it's something that's incredibly important to Jimmy Rogers.
Yeah, it really does, and I think especially so with this staff as well, Trent. Offensively, this is a group that hasn't really been together. They haven't been in the heat of the moment on Saturdays before. Tyler Roll going to be calling the offense. I think all indications to me are I think Jimmy Rogers wants to maybe be a little more hands-off with his offense than Matt Campbell was with his offense. And I think, especially early and how that dynamic was with the OCs that they had. I think this is Tyler Roll's show. And they want to make sure that they're kind of all on the same page in this staff and how things are going to go on Saturdays. Another kind of a tie into that. Jimmy Rogers used the term we've got to win in the margins. I think that was one that Cyclone fans have heard that one before. We've got to win in the margins, and it holds true. It holds true really for every Iowa State team. Offensively, this is a group that they can't go out there. They've got to go out there and win the turnover margin. They can't go out there costly turnovers, penalties. They've got to play clean football, because I think what we've seen, the body of work with that defense and what they've done at 2 stops, that's going to be pretty good. If they stay healthy, I think they're going to be solid. So I think it's incumbent again on that offense to make sure they've got all their ducks in a row as they get ready for the season opener and play clean football, be able to run the ball, cut down on the penalties, and I think this team can realize some of its goals here in year one.
Let's jump over to Basketball Friday. It was announced that Killian Toure will miss an extended period of time. The hope is that he'll be back in January after shoulder surgery. Shoulder that gave him some issues a year ago. Now another injury sustained out of Dame Lillard's camp. Certainly a big, big blow to this team that doesn't have a bunch of traditional ball handlers.
No, it really doesn't. And Dae'Quan Johnson, he's going to be the bully, the nickname he's kind of garnered in spring workouts. He's going to have to be one here right away for this team. And without Killian until Big 12 play starts, we'll get a gauge, I think, probably into the winter months where he is in that recovery. Hopefully he can be back a little closer to the start of conference play. We'll monitor that. But it's a tough break for this team, really, Trent. I think it was one. They always try to schedule around who they think they're going to have on this roster ready to go in the lineup. This slate was scheduled knowing that they were going to have Killian Torrey as that starting point guard. That's not the case now. They've got a Bradley transfer, that did a great job, I think, at that Missouri Valley Conference level. But they're going to go to Las Vegas. They're going to play in that Players Era Championship. They're going to play Purdue. They're going to play Purdue at home. They're going to Sioux Falls again. They'll get the Cyhawk game in Iowa City. And all those games are going to be played without Killian Torrey. So I think this is a big blow. And again, in the Big 12, they get Killian back early in that. I think that they can they take care of business, maybe get a good record out of that and help their seeding. But, a lot of what the seeding is in the NCAA tournament is that body of work from the non-conference slate. And Iowa State's got a good non-conference lineup, I think, this year, but it's just not going to be Killian Torrey playing point guard for those.
Going to be a different look, no doubt. Bill Seals has got you covered. CycloneReport.com. Football season right around the corner. Of course, basketball right after that. Bill, as always, appreciate the time. You guys over at On3 continue to turn it up, and that great deal continues. You guys are just selling those memberships nonstop. A lot of people excited about the Cyclones. Oh, yeah, no doubt. It's a great deal. The best one for new subscribers to Cyclone Report you're going to find all year long. Right now, it's 75% off an annual subscription to Cyclone Report. Works out to about $30 a month. With that, you get the athletic subscription as well. And with that, not only all the good stuff at Cyclone Report, you can get on, read premium content, premium message board posts on all the other network of team sites across the On3. So just a great deal with a lot of perks there. So jump on board today, and it's a very limited time too. I'll say, Trent, they're going to pull this one back, and that deal will be over with. So, but take advantage today. Best deal of the year on CycloneReport.com. Thank you so much, Bill, for your time. We'll talk to you again next week. It'll be game week when we talk next.
Looking forward to it, Trent.
That is Bill Seals, CycloneReport.com. Again, that great deal. Just go to Cyclone Report for more information. 1 hour in the books, a lot of Hawkeye talk, a lot of Cyclone talk in hour number one. Coming back, hour number two, going to shift our attention over to baseball. Matt Snyder's going to join us, but no, we have not forgot about football. We'll get back into it with the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mitch Holthus will join us in the second hour. Stay right there. This is The Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports on the Rush Radio Network and ESPN Des Moines. America's turning 250 this year, and Circa Sports is celebrating by offering all users in Iowa $250. For everyone in Iowa, all you have to do is deposit $250 on your Circa Sports app, then play through that deposit. Once you do, Circa Sports will reward you with $250 right into your account. This is available for everyone in Iowa, new and existing users. Celebrate 250 years and find out more at circasports.com today. Must be 21 or older and in Iowa. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We are ready. We've waited for this one for a long time. The anticipation, the excitement, the intensity. The teams are on the field looking to build on last week's success.
Construction doesn't need a play-by-play call, but it does need a team. Like the team at Graphite Construction Group. From concept to planning to building completion, our team is with you every step of the way.
And the beam is up. Mitch, this isn't a field goal. You mean like it's a touchdown? Graphite Construction Group.
Graphite Construction Group. We build it better.
So, Russ, what do you do in the offseason? Mitch, we don't have an offseason.
I think you all know by now that the Chicken Coop is one of my favorite places to go for a cold one and great food. And their new made-from-scratch menu has me going back even more. Their signature wings with 12 different sauces. The Nashville Hot Chicken Sandwich. And you gotta try the new Big B chopped cheese. And the Chicken Coop has 3 locations: Urbandale, West Des Moines, and Ankeny. Wherever you are in the metro, the Chicken Coop has you covered. If you're thinking of incorporating or setting up an Iowa LLC, zoom right past LegalZoom and work with Rush Niggett, a Brick Gentry PC. He's set up an affordable online small business package that helps you decide whether to form a limited liability company LLC or a corporation. With Rush Niggett's help, it's easy to form your new small business. Rush Niggett, a business lawyer with Brick Gentry Law PC. Go to rushonbusiness.com. It's good to have Rush on your side.
Do you remember the last walk-off homer to win the World Series? It's been a while, but the answer is 1993. Do you know when Wolf Roofing started roofing houses? That's right, 1993. Wolf Roofing has been around for a long time. For your next roofing project, put the experience of Wolf Roofing on your side. Find them on the web at wolfroofing.net or give them a call at 515-225-8866 or online wolfroofing.net.
Today's young athletes face more pressure than ever. Expectations, social media, year-round competition, and fear of failure. Here's Will Niggett, certified mental performance consultant with Mental Game Learning Lab.
The Mental Game Learning Lab helps athletes build confidence, manage stress, and develop the mindset needed to compete and grow. And parents learn how to support their athletes without adding pressure. Because strong mental skills don't just create better athletes, they create healthier, more resilient kids.
Learn more at mentalgamelearninglab.com. Is your HVAC system on the fritz? Don't sweat it. Call Logier Heating and Cooling, your local Des Moines comfort experts. We're locally owned and operated, so we know the needs of our community. We're not about high-pressure sales. We're about doing things the right way. That means sending trained, certified technicians, not salespeople, to your door. Our technicians will diagnose your system's problem and recommend the best course of action. When you call us at Logier, you're always speaking with a live person ready to help. We understand your comfort is important, and we'll do everything we can to get your HVAC system back into top condition. Experience the Logier difference. Call us today for a free estimate or to schedule a service call. Your comfort is our priority.
KRNT Des Moines is 102.1 FM and 1350 ESPN, a Des Moines Media Group station. Your local solution to get your business wanted, found, and chosen. The biggest sports stories are just getting started. From Hawkeyes and Cyclones to the NFL, MLB, NBA, and beyond. This is The Lunch Rush, presented by Circa Sports. Now, here's Trent Condon.
Back with you as we kick off the noon hour. Welcome back in. It is the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon. Got Drew Reinhardt hanging out with me here today, our radio producer at ESPN Des Moines, along with everywhere on the Rush Radio Network, where you can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Twitter. Find us over there. Just search Lunch Rush 515 on Twitter. That's where you can find the show every day, or just The Rush on YouTube, and you can watch the program each and every day. Well, we are coming towards the end of the month of August. Want to let you know once again that we got a lot going on here. Next week, we're going to be out at Shields. Looking forward to that, as we got a couple events happening that will conclude on that Friday with the home opener for Valley, as the Valley Tigers take on Waukee Northwest. They're home this week against Dowling Catholic, but this is considered a Dowling home game, as they flip-flap who is the hosting team, as, of course, both teams play at Valley Stadium. Coming up here on ESPN Des Moines on Friday night, we will kick off our coverage of high school football. It'll begin about 6:50 with the pregame show. 7 o'clock kickoff as we will be in Waukee. The Waukee Warriors going up against the Johnston Dragons. Pretty big expectations for Johnston this year. Of course, had that breakthrough a couple of years back, getting to the Unidome for the first time at the big conference or big division level of high school football. Done it in the past back when they were a 3A program. Certainly the growth of that team and that program. Dowling, one of the anticipated preseason favorites this year. Valley's going to be good up front. They're going to be looking for skill position players. Waukee Northwest, they're loaded again. Certainly at the skill position with Mac Heitland there. They're fine and talented quarterbacks. Southeast folks going to be tough. Really like Ankeny this year. Drew, you've gone through it. You know high school football and just the depth that we see in Central Iowa. It's incredible year after year. And I like a season like this where there's a lot of good teams, but there doesn't seem, at least to me, to be that runaway favorite right now.
Yeah, not in my eyes either. I also not too keen on the teams quite yet. I like to focus on them when I'm actually, like, I'll film for CISN, so I get to know the players a lot more when I'm doing that. And obviously I'll be in here Friday night producing the show for you, so I'll get to hear all the players and kind of pick my favorites and see kind of what's going on around the state to see who's coming out on top.
It's going to be great to definitely get that component and kind of get a feel of these squads. Up front, Dowling's going to be really good. We'll see if Anderson, the sophomore, is going to be their starter quarterback this year. That's what I heard during the summertime. So we're getting there. We're getting to that point. A difficult story on Saturday evening, I believe it was, where Gabe Baker, the head coach out at Hawkeyes, was charged with OWI. Hawkeyes released a statement about that, talking about that. Obviously, disappointing part of it, but nothing if there's going to be a suspension, if anything more comes out of that as they go through the legal process on that front. But Hawkeyes, they lost, well, the biggest one is his son, who was their quarterback for the last 4 years. He has graduated and moving on. So some question marks out there, but that's where I'll be on Friday night with Johnston and Hawkeyes facing off. That'll kick off our coverage here as we'll be bouncing around. We'll have the game of the week for you each and every week, both here on ESPN Des Moines, along with over with CISN TV, where you can watch all the games. Week 2 is Hawkeyes Northwest making their way over to Valley. Should be a fun year of high school football coming up. And Week 0, didn't see any Week 0. Saw a couple of highlights online, though. That was just cool to see actually high school football happening. But then there's the other side. I saw, again, I think there were 8 more programs that are not going to be playing a varsity schedule this year. Just always sad to see that part of it, too. As somebody that loves high school sports and certainly high school football, to see the people that just don't have the numbers anymore to be able to have a team and field a team every year.
Yeah, and that's why you see a lot of people just leaving those smaller towns to get to a bigger school because they don't have football anymore.
Yeah. Going to have the opportunity, and certainly an opportunity for you coming up here and throughout the course of the season. Mentioned also the domination we've seen from Central Iowa. I think you have to go back. Iowa City High won it in 2009, if memory serves. It's been a long time since somebody outside of that. Iowa City Liberty the last couple of years, they were right on the cusp. That team was so much fun to watch with Reese Redding, their quarterback. I mean, he's like my height, and he used to run around at our tailgate too, which my buddies tell me, all right, so Reese is the quarterback, and this was 3 years ago when him and my buddy son were on the team as sophomores. Like, that little redhead kid is their quarterback. They must be terrible. He's like my size. He's 5'7". And then I watched him play. Holy God, that kid was an absolute dude. But he moves on, and they got some other pieces that are coming in there. We'll see if anybody pushes. But what it's loved here for us on the local front, as every single year, we have multiple teams in the semifinals. And there's been a couple of those years where all 4 of the semifinalists have been from Central Iowa.
Yeah, it's exciting to see just getting to the local teams from here and getting to watch them every week, fight for that playoff spot and fight for the championship.
And we'll have you covered here all throughout the course of the season on that front. This is the Lunch Rush with Trent, kind of presented by Circa Sports. Drew Ryan with me today, our radio producer on that side. A couple other things before we talk some baseball with Matt Snyder. We talked about the Little League World Series to kick off the show here today. So one thing that I watched a lot of over the weekend, outside of my aforementioned Twins taking it in the backside from the Padres, was watch a lot of golf. Now, there was another reason for it, and not just my terrible betting, which was a part of it too, but also I am in a fantasy golf league. And it was coming down to the end, and I was right on the cusp of finishing in the money. So there's like 35 guys that are in this. We throw a couple of bucks in there, have fun throughout the course of the season, though. If you finish in the top 4, though, you're going to cash. You're going to, at minimum, double your money if you finish 4th and on from there. So I was right there, real close, and I had a guy that was in contention. And after Saturday, I thought, with Wyndham Clark, I was home free. He was one of the 2 golfers that I have. He picked 2 golfers a week. You can only use them twice throughout the course of the season. So you get to stack up and take Scotty Scheffler every week. That's not the way that it goes. You can only use a guy twice throughout the course of the week. But with Wyndham Clark, great. And then I take a peek in between ball games out at the softball fields yesterday, and I see it giving it back. I'm like, oh, geez, here we go again. Got home, was able to flip it on, watch him then catch fire. Birdies on 16 and 17. So I got a winner. My other guy, I think I had Oberg. I think I used my last start with him. He finished in the top 20. I'm like, all right, this has got to be enough to push me over the edge. And then I open up the app this morning, and it updates with the scoring, and it's prize money. That's how that they dictate that. That's how they make it the way that they determine. It's not average place or anything, just prize money. Well, a first place winner at $3.6 million of Wyndham Clark, that's going to push me over. except the guy that was in front of me in fourth also had Wyndham Clark this week. So I finish in fifth when the top four pay out. Incredibly sad. Thanks to Brian Downs, though, who puts this together. AD, people know Andrew Downs, his brother, is the one that puts this together a year. A really, really fun golf league, something that keeps me invested and interested. And watch it all the way to the end, though. We got the Tour Championship coming up this week as they'll dwindle the field down to 30 golfers out at East Lake to wrap up the real golf season, if you will. We got the President's Cup coming up, and kind of an interesting one. If you're a golf fan like I am, I think it's intriguing to see who's going to be Player of the Year. Now, Wyndham Clark goes out and wins again. This is easy. I think if Scotty Scheffler goes out, wins the Tour Championship this week, those are a couple of easy calls. But if that's not the case, we had Rory, who looked very un-Rory-like at times after he got back and got it tied against Wyndham Clark yesterday. He could definitely get there with what he did back in April. I think he could be a part of it. But when you talk about Wyndham Clark, the thing that intrigues me is we talk about more obviously MVP races, the race for the Cy Young. These are the things that we normally talk about. We don't dive real deep into the world of golf. However, this is an award that is not voted on by the media. This is an award that is voted on strictly by the players. And we know Wyndham Clark is not a beloved figure on the tour. And because of that, it might look a little bit different. Also watched a little bit, not a ton, of WNBA and didn't see hardly any of the matchup yesterday as the Fever and Caitlin Clark kept catching absolute fire. 8 3-pointers, a career high for that one as the Fever win at 113-90 over Chicago. Yes, and of course, it's the WNBA, and it means it's not about what happened on the floor. There was the extras that was happening there with Enes Kanter and getting ejected, and that's what this has turned into. This has turned into a culture war, and that's what the sport has evolved into, and you got both sides fighting about that, and we'll definitely stay away from it. The thing that was crazy, though, is I saw this last night on the bottom line, something scrolled through as I was watching SportsCenter, that 7 of the 8 spots have already been clinched in the WNBA. So it is just strictly goes by record. Doesn't matter what East-West division or conference that you're in. It is strictly by that. And Dallas is now just a game away from clinching the final spot. I mean, the gap between the haves and the have-nots in this league is pretty significant at this point. The Dream, the Fever, the Liberty, Mystics have already clinched along with the Lynx, the Valkyries, and the Aces and the Wings. I think they're, 7 games up for the final spot. So it's over. We know the 8 teams that are going to comprise the playoffs, and can they get a little momentum and actually talk about what's actually happening on the floor? Fingers crossed on that one, but I'm definitely not going to be holding my breath, which should be a celebration of a great game again by Caitlin Clark. She had the one downturn, has bounced back, and has played so well here really over the last 3 or 4 weeks. She's played at a high level outside of a couple of games here or there, including last week on Thursday that she struggled, but overall, she's been playing good. But instead of that, no, the sport, good or bad. Here's the other thing. As the culture war has now shifted into Sophie Cunningham and that part of it, over the last month when this came out and Sophie Cunningham came out with her comments, the ratings on TV are up 20% across the league. So it's added viewers, but is it the right thing? Is it sustainable? Yes, of course, every television network that is broadcasting these games want more eyeballs, but you also want sustainability. And that's the question. Is this sustainable or just people that are looking for a little something, looking for to see exactly what all the hubbub is about and jumping in? That is the question mark that remains on that front. Let's talk some baseball. Matt Snyder is going to join us from CBSSports.com, our weekly look inside the world of MLB. Cubs with a big bounce back after I was in here Saturday night, and Drew helped me out as he was out golfing.
I was.
You were golfing at the
Shot in the Dark,
the Glow Golf event. So what did you think overall? What did you think? I told you, going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
It was fun. Yeah. I liked it. Like you said, the ball wasn't going to fly as much, but I think after the 4th hole or so, we kind of broke the balls in, and they were, because they sounded kind of like rocks when we were first hitting them.
Yes, yeah.
But then we broke them in a little bit, and they started flying a little bit better, and we finished +1, so we didn't win it. I think -7 was the best, which -7 through 9 holes is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it was a great time, and Laser was one of the main sponsors, so got to go out there and participate with them, and yeah, it was just a good time all around.
Now, did you swing it well?
I feel like I was pretty good. Our salesman, John Streets, let me tell you, he can drive the ball.
Really?
Oh, that thing flies.
John got a little pop, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. I did hit one about probably 150 out, went landed maybe 5 feet from the hole. Thought it was going to go in because it's dark, so you can't really tell. So you just see the light from the stick and then your ball landing close to it, and it's like, oh, that could be an inch away, but it was a little bit 5 feet out or so. But it was still a pretty good shot.
Now, most importantly, did you make the putt?
We did.
There you go. Knocked it in.
Yep.
Like to see that. Well, hearing about your golf game, we got to get out here.
Yeah.
Once we get through the craziness here, week 1, once we settle in, we'll find a time, maybe middle of September. That's when I really start to settle into football season. Things start to, fingers crossed, slow down just a little bit. Yeah. We'll get out there, we'll swing the sticks a little bit, and then we'll report back because Drew's firing darts out there. Now I found John Streets. He's got a bomb in the driver, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it'll be fun getting out there.
Absolutely. Well, that was shot in the dark. So we got a little golf hit here. And where was I going with that? Where did we start?
You were in here for the Cubs game?
Oh, that's what it was. Yes, Saturday night. And heard live here on ESPN Des Moines, the walk-off loss. And Pat Hughes, so dejected. Just so sad. The sadness that comes. I love hometown broadcasting. You can hear the games here on ESPN Des Moines. Talking baseball, Matt Snyder next. Stay right there as we continue. It's the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. Trent Condon here for Circa Sports. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
We are ready. We've waited for this one for a long time. The anticipation, the excitement, the intensity. The teams are on the field looking to build on last week's success.
Construction doesn't need a play-by-play call, but it does need a team. Like the team at Graphite Construction Group. From concept to planning to building completion, our team is with you every step of the way.
And the beam is up.
Mitch, this isn't a field goal.
You mean like it's a touchdown? Graphite Construction Group.
Graphite Construction Group. We build it better.
So, Russ, what do you do in the off-season? Mitch, we don't have an off-season.
Family owned since 1970, Kemker's True Value and Rental helps you buy what you want and rent what you need. Get to work on that to-do list with help from Kemker's True Value and Rental. Kemker's has all your hardware needs, grills for that family barbecue, and a one-stop shop for all your lawn and garden needs. Plus, their rental catalog is perfect for do-it-yourselfers. Make it Kemker's True Value and Rental. Find out what they can do for you at KemkersTrueValue.com. That's KemkersTrueValue.com.
We want you at Sonorama. We make all the signs, you just make the commas. Stress-free life out in the Bahamas. If you need a life without any drama, it's just Sonorama. Over 700 locations. We got owners spanning all across the nations. Imagine what we do with the next generation. Everything here, just a big celebration. 1986 when we started it all. Looking at us now, I wouldn't change it at all. We don't want to make this too complex. Hit us in the contacts, let's set up a contract. We want you at Sonorama.
Sinorama of Urbandale, 10301 Dennis Drive in Urbandale. Online, sinorama.com/IA-Urbandale. Joined by Dr. Heidi Bell with Elite Eye Care. It's football season. Concussions always a big topic.
This year, 2 to 3 million sports-related concussions will occur, and about half of those go unreported. 2 out of every 10 high school students will suffer a concussion. The most important part is following through with your doctor, but the recommendations are different than they used to be. At Elite Eye Care, we can diagnose and treat the post-concussion visual symptoms that typically exist.
That's Dr. Heidi Bell with Elite Eye Care, with locations in Waukee, 2 in Ankeny, and the newest location in Norwalk for Elite Eye Care.
Craving something sweet? Head to the Outside Scoop in Grimes, where every scoop is packed with flavor and every visit is a little more fun. From classic favorites to delicious specialty creations, the Outside Scoop has something for everyone. Bring the family, grab your friends, and treat yourself to the perfect dessert any day of the week. The Outside Scoop in Grimes. Your next sweet stop is right around the corner. Is your HVAC system on the fritz? Don't sweat it. Call Logier Heating and Cooling, your local Des Moines comfort experts. We're locally owned and operated, so we know the needs of our community. We're not about high-pressure sales. We're about doing things the right way. That means sending trained, certified technicians, not salespeople, to your door. Our technicians will diagnose your system's problem and recommend the best course of action. When you call us at Logier, you're always speaking with a live person ready to help. We understand your comfort is important, and we'll do everything we can to get your HVAC system back into top condition. Experience the Logier difference. Call us today for a free estimate or to schedule a service call. Your comfort is our priority.
At the Chicken Coop, we're starting from scratch.
That's right. We're dropping some new recipes along with your favorites, and they're all made from scratch.
Boneless wings and chicken tenders made from scratch when you order.
Get your spice on with our new Nashville hot chicken sandwich.
Or our new buffalo chicken sandwich.
Both made from scratch.
Don't forget our wings, made with 12 different sauces that are, you guessed it, made from scratch.
The Chicken Coop has the best chicken and is made from scratch in our kitchen.
Stop in or order online today.
Back to the biggest stories in sports. The Lunch Rush with Trent Condon on 102.1 FM and 1350 ESPN Des Moines.
Welcome back. This part of the conversation brought to you by Circa Sports. It's the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon presented by Circa Sports. Don't forget that $250 deal still goes on. Still an opportunity for you to sign up, both new and existing customers. Chance to get $250 in your account. All you do, deposit $250 into your Circa Sports Iowa account. Once you play through that $250, they're going to give you another $250. Circa Sports Iowa, download the app wherever you are here in the state of Iowa with your opportunity to hit another $250 into your account. Matt Snyder from CBSSports.com joins us here today, as he does Monday throughout the summertime, and we'll shift into Tuesday as we get into September. Matt, as always, good to catch up with you once again. How are things for you as you get ready, not just for the conclusion of baseball season, but for your defending champion Indiana Hoosiers, your alma mater? Boy, it still feels weird to say.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I always say, like, it feels surreal still, but I can definitely get used to it. I can definitely get used to that. But, yeah, going well, other than when I look at the standings for, like, the American League West or the last AL wild card. I've got a Snyder soapbox coming tomorrow where I say losing teams should be disqualified from playoff consideration. Like, look, man, we've got 162 games. If you can't win 82, you don't get a chance at the World Series. This is a joke, man.
You can find that CBSSports.com. That'll be out there tomorrow. Mondays is always the release of Matt Snyder's power rankings every week throughout the course of the season. A great read if you're an MLB fan. Well, we looked in the rearview mirror at a national champion for the Indiana Hoosiers, and we might be looking in the rearview mirror coming up next year and thinking about what once was, because the baseball and the potential labor stoppage that is potentially happening, it is right around the corner. We'll have some good baseball before we get that. Yesterday, Rob Manfred talked a little bit about the new collective bargaining agreement that they're hoping for and is confident that an agreement is going to be there. Well, of course, he's going to say that he's confident. That's the company line that you're going to say. Doesn't feel like anybody else, though, is very confident about that.
There's so many times, like, okay, as an example, last night I saw MLB tweeted out, like, next year's Little League Little League Classic will be between the Cubs and the Blue Jays. And I just scrolled through the comments, and like half the comments were people saying, like, nope, there's going to be no baseball next year. Well, that's late August. I'm surprised by how many people are so convinced that there's just not going to be a season next year. I don't understand what evidence there is for baseball canceling an entire season. That's never even happened. We had a strike interrupt 1981. Obviously, the season got shut down in 1994, and there was no World Series then, but they played it through August. And what we saw last time was a lot of contentiousness, what the owners called a defensive lockout, where they just locked the players out even though it was totally unnecessary. And then talks in, like, February, you would hear, they're nowhere close. And then once we got into March and the season was kind of on the precipice of, like, being pushed back or maybe not playing 162 games, all of a sudden they come to a deal at the 11th hour. That, to me, is exactly what's going to happen again. I don't know if people are just, think that the salary cap fight's going to be that much more ridiculous because the Dodgers and how much they've been signing guys and how they've won the last two World Series and all their deferred money and all that. I don't think it's going to get to the point where both sides think, hey, it's worth it to cancel the season. I just don't think it's going to get there. I don't think it'll even get close to that.
I'm with you. I have had that same thought, and maybe it's just reading too many of the doomsdayers. I think that's going to happen. Now, will I be surprised if things get pushed back like it was a couple of years ago and opening day has to be pushed back a couple of weeks? Yeah. In fact, I think I do anticipate that. If I was putting like betting odds out there, I think that'd be the betting favorite. But to think that this thing's going to linger that deep into the season and that we're going to have, if we have a season, it's only going to be 45 games. That's ridiculous. There's too much money on the table, too. This is so different than 94.
Yes, 100%. There's so much money involved, and they know that fans nowadays have so many other alternatives for entertainment. To lose an entire season and the harm that it would do to the fan base at large, it's just not worth it. And both sides know that. So I just can't. Now, like you said, could I see it pushed back a little bit? Absolutely. I believe it was like a week and a half later last year, and they consolidated it, and they played some doubleheaders to make 162 games, not last year, whatever. I think it was 2023 or 2022 maybe. But I could see some games canceled. I could see like a 140-game season. I could see a 154-game season. But like anything less than 100, absolutely no way. They will play a lot of games next year. By the end of April, we will absolutely be playing baseball.
Right there with you, Matt Snyder, joining us from CBSSports.com. One thing that baseball does well, even with the infighting that continually happens and the back and forth, and it feels like it's always a bigger conversation between the players' union and the owners than it is in other sports. I don't know the reasoning behind that, but it just feels like it's much more contentious. That aside, is these one-off events from the Field of Dreams game a couple of weeks ago to what we saw last night in Williamsport. Boy, they do such a great job of hitting those feelings, right? For us baseball fans, the nostalgia that goes into it. That is one thing Major League Baseball does great.
Yeah, they do a great job of it, and we've seen also the Negro Leagues won a couple of years ago. In the international games, even like the games in Mexico that they've played. Obviously, they've done Australia, Japan, and England a few times. I would like to see them maybe play some games in the Caribbean. There's like Aruba, for example. Xander Bogaerts is the player from Aruba. Maybe they could put together a game there and have the Padres play there. I don't know. Maybe it's too far away, but they're so good at it, and they're so good at marketing these things, and to have it line up with Players Weekend. So we have all the different bat designs and everything for the Little League Classic. It's just a real nice touch by the MLB marketing department.
Matt Snyder joining us. Matt, from there, a story that surprised me just from the outside looking in, because I'll be honest, outside of what's happening with the Twins and the Cubs GM situations, I really don't look that deeply into it. But Dana Brown, mutually agreeing to part ways, he was fired by the Houston Astros. That one, I mean, weird timing. It's not like he can do a whole lot at this point in the season also to go out there and augment your roster by any means. Just the timing behind it. Take us in here, a team that is in playoff contention and in contention still to win their division, as they said, tied with the Rangers. Just an odd story to me from the outside looking in.
It's a meddlesome owner is what you have with Jim Crane. I mean, look, they had that run and they were so good, but then they had to fire Jeff Luhnow after the sign stealing scandal, and they brought in James Click, but Click never really got along with Jim Crane there in the front office, and it was after 2022 when they won the World Series and he lost his job. So then they bring in Dana Brown, and just 4 years, just 4 seasons, and he came into the year as a lame duck. He had no power at the trade deadline. They were only able to go out and make one trade. They got Dalton Varsho, but they had a trade lined up with the Twins that got nixed by the owner. So we've got Jim Crane just lording over everything that the general manager is doing. I do think that he was fired, but the mutual parting of the ways is he's probably like, you know what, I'm fine. I'll find another job somewhere else. I don't need to deal with this kind of aggravation. So, yeah, I don't imagine he's that heartbroken over the situation by now. I thought he'd done a fine enough job in picking up the pieces once he got there to try to take over for Click. But this is a situation, in my opinion, unless they do something like hire Jeff Bagwell, because he seems to be a favorite of Jim Crane. If they bring in somebody else like this, I think it's another person that's just going to cycle through in a few years, because that's just how Jim Crane operates.
We see over the weekend the Cubs salvage a game as they get the victory yesterday in dominating performance 19-2 over the Mariners. But I want to first go to Saturday, the start from Anderson before we get into the Cubs. Unfortunately, I didn't get settled in until he was already out of the game, so didn't get an opportunity to see kind of pitch by pitch. I was so excited to see what the number one pitching prospect looked like for the Mariners. Just start right there with your thoughts on Cade Anderson.
He looked pretty good at least one time through the order. He looked great. The second time through the order, he looked pretty good. And then the third time, the Cubs started to knock him around. So it's, that's the way it happens in the majors. Once these guys see you 2 or 3 times, now they've seen your stuff. Now they have a good feel for what it's going to look like. And now it's a situation where he will learn. It will take some time. And if you go back, even when Jacob Misiorowski first came up, he didn't work that deep into games. And if you remember, even last year in the playoffs, the Brewers would use an opener in front of him. So it takes time with these things to learn how to better attack hitters and how to change things up the third time that they see you in the order. But the stuff's on point. The stuff looks really good. He's not going to look like a Misiorowski or Skeens before Skeens was broken this season type prospect, but he looked very good overall. I would say there's good potential there. For the most part, I liked what I saw again until the third time through the order. So he's going to have to, but again, the Cubs are a really, really good offensive team too. So, if it was against a lesser offensive team, maybe he would have been just fine the third time through the order.
So we get to see the return of also Palencia. He's back on the active roster now. Hope that the Cubs are getting finally healthy in the pitching rotation, along with the bullpen and getting guys out there. They got Cabrera back. Then he went right back to the IL with the blister injury. We'll see about his return. Scoreless win for Palencia. Just overall, the hopes of tracking down the Brewers, it's going to take a lot for that to happen as that lead is ballooned back up to 6, and a lot is going to have to go right both on the Cubs side and go wrong on the Brewers side. That aside, though, when you look at this Cubs team getting healthier, is there enough there for a playoff push, this team that maybe can push to get to an NLCS, and then anything can happen?
Yeah, I don't think there's enough to run the Brewers down. There are 7 head-to-heads left, but when you're 6 down, you can't count on winning every single game, especially against a juggernaut like the Brewers have become this season again. So, no, I don't think the division's in play, but I do think that the Cubs will hold on to that 4 seed, the top wild card, which means they'll host the wild card series. They'll have the 5 seed there. It looks like at this point it would be the Phillies. The Phillies, it sounds like a tall order because they'll probably line up Christopher Sanchez, Zach Wheeler, and Jesus Luzardo, and that sounds scary, but the Cubs have tagged Luzardo this season, and Zach Wheeler has a 6.64 ERA in his last 5 starts, so maybe not as daunting as it sounds. I do think the Cubs will advance, but, if they're sitting in that 4 seed, that means when they advance, it's going to be the exact same thing as last year. They'll have to deal with the Brewers. So I do think they're good enough. I do think the Cubs, I think they're good enough to win the World Series. That wouldn't be my prediction. My best guess at this point is they're probably going to lose in the second round to the Brewers again. But the talent's there. You're going to have to count on some big-time pitching performances from the likes of Clay Holmes, which is definitely doable. Shota Imanaga, who looks like he's hit a speed bump again. Matthew Boyd, who has definitely hit a speed bump right now. And then maybe Kevin Gossman, who was bad and had cramping issues last time out. So a lot of it's going to come down to how those starting pitchers come together down the stretch.
The Dodgers are looking like the Dodgers once again. Drew, my radio producer, is pumped up about that. This team's won 6 in a row. Ohtani now getting closer to his return, potentially on the bump. It's all coming together, and I said it all throughout the downturn when the Cubs swept him away. They just weren't playing great baseball. I'd never want to hit the panic button. And then it started to linger. It went from a week, then it was 10 days, then it was a couple weeks, and then it was almost 3 weeks where they're just not playing good baseball. Here they are once again, and that's why all the time, Matt, both you and I think most everybody knows, never want to hit the panic button with a roster this talented.
No, they're going to drop the hammer at some point, and it looks like they did last week. So here they come. They might end up with a 1 seed. They might end up with a 2. And, remember, last year they were the 3, and they even had to play in the wild card series, and they swept the Reds with ease. But, they're still going to be a beast in the postseason. I'm still sticking with my, hey, I'll take the field over the Dodgers, and they're not. Too many people act like it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to win it all, and I know they did it in each of the last 2 years, but man, it was awfully close. I mean, they nearly lost Game 7 to the Blue Jays. In 2024, they were down 2-1 to the Padres in the NLDS, and we've seen them win 111 games and get knocked out in the 2022 NLDS. So they're probably going to be the best team heading into the postseason, but I do not think by any stretch of the imagination that they're untouchable or anything. I think somebody could get them. That being said, it's a formidable rotation now with Blake Snell back, Tyler Glass now on the comeback trail. They added Scooble. Otani's coming back soon. Man, it's going to be tough.
That it is. Well, the Phillies are getting close as they have continued to play some great baseball. Speaking of hot teams, Dodgers with 6 in a row. The Phillies now up to 9 in a row. And Kyle Schwarber, talk about just putting this team on his back. We've talked so much about PCA or Ohtani. Who should it be in the MVP race? Should we be giving a little bit more love to Kyle Schwarber?
We can say he'll be a great third place finisher.
Okay.
The other two are head and shoulders above everybody else. It's a 2-man race, but Schwarber, my fellow Hoosier, of course I'm going to stick up for him. Yeah, absolutely. He'd be great to finish third place in that race. They're so hot and cold. And so are the Braves. It's funny, 2 different times the Braves have gotten up around a 10-game lead, and then it's whittled all the way down, and then they built it back up, and now it's whittled down to 3. Right now, the Phillies lost 8 of 9 to close July, and then the Braves were winning 8 in a row wrapped around the turn of the calendar, and now all of a sudden the Braves have lost 7 of 9, and the Phillies have won 9 in a row, and it's close again. 7 more head-to-heads, and they're back-to-back weekends. The first weekend of September and then the second weekend of September are their head-to-heads. That's going to be really, really fun.
The Royals have won 8 in a row. They're still dead last in a terrible division in the American League Central. My highlight, though, maybe this whole season for the Royals in a disappointing year when a division isn't very good. You got Bobby Witt Jr. on your team. You're hopeful that at minimum you can hang around and maybe flirt with postseason. That hasn't been the case. But Sal Perez yesterday, his stolen base, that might have been my favorite moment of the season. Just the cutaway view and seeing the old man trucking his way to second base, not even a throw down there. But then the smile on his face afterwards, he's revving up the engine of the motorcycles. He's looking at the bench. Just those great moments of baseball. You never know what you're going to see when you show up at the ballpark.
That's a career high. 1 stolen base this season that matches a career high. He's now done it 7 different times. He's had 1 stolen base. He's only been caught 1 time.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's great. The Royals are interesting. Now all of a sudden they're winning when it doesn't matter. But I think you've seen enough potential in Carter Jensen. Jack Caglione's kind of having a breakthrough season, and you probably think he can get even better. They have the pieces where next year they could be better.
Speaking of crap, you mentioned it earlier, the wild card in the American League. That final spot, the Rangers currently hold it. The Twins had it before the weekend when they get swept. The Guardians are heating back up. The Blue Jays, the Orioles, it looked like for a moment. It's one after another. Just these teams that nobody can gain any traction. Of this group of teams, though, is there anybody you say, if they get in, this could be a team that makes a run?
Maybe the Blue Jays.
Okay.
I mean, you've got Dylan Cease atop the rotation. They added Jose Soriano in front of the trade deadline. If Vlad Guerrero ever learns how to hit for power again, we know how hot he can get. George Springer, maybe there's a little something left in there. They've got pieces that could be interesting. So I think I would say the Blue Jays there, because the alternatives, no, I don't believe in the Guardians at all. I don't believe in the Rangers at all. Sorry, I don't have much belief in the Twins. I definitely don't believe in the Orioles. So I think the answer has to be the Blue Jays.
Matt Snyder from CBSSports.com. We talk baseball with Matt each and every week here on the Lunch Rush. Matt, as always, appreciate the time. We will talk to you again next week, and maybe we'll have a little bit more certainty of what's happening in that race for the final wild card berth. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Matt Snyder, CBSSports.com. As mentioned, his power rankings are currently up. You can find those over there. And Snyder's Soapbox, a weekly piece that goes up there with some of the big news items in baseball and Matt's thoughts on that. Great writer and a great guest, and we're happy to have him aboard with us here on the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports. We come back on the other side, and it is time to talk to the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Another preseason game down, 1 more to go. Mitch mentioned it was a big one for former Iowa Hawkeye Xavier Wampa. We'll get the report from Mitch Holthus about how he played and some takeaways from the game against Tampa Bay. That's coming back on the other side of the Lunch Rush with Trent Condon, presented by Circa Sports. You can find us everywhere on the Rush Radio Network and right here on ESPN Des Moines. We're back with more in a moment.
Get in on the action with the world's largest.
Every business has priorities, and Priority One Heating and Cooling is no different. As a service provider, we prioritize quality air conditioners and furnaces that will keep your home at your comfort level year-round. As a small business, we prioritize doing things the right way and treating people fairly. As a truly local business, we prioritize our community. As a veteran-owned business, we prioritize duty and commitment. For big business service with local value, trust your home to the place where you are always priority one.
Hey, Tanner with Liberty Lawn and Landscape here. We are now booking, so get a hold of us to schedule your next project today. Serving the Des Moines Metro, we specialize in a variety of services such as retaining walls, paver patios, edging and rocking, and much more. Now offering 3D renderings to show you exactly how your project will look before beginning. Liberty is proudly veteran-owned and ready to serve you today.
The Lunch Rush will be right back, but so will more local, live, and everyday sports programs on the Rush Radio Network. Wake up with Travis Justice and Ross Peterson on The Rush from 6 to 8 a.m. and finish your day with Beyond the Bench with Sean Roberts and Lucas Strain from 4 to 6. Every show, every day on the Rush Radio Network.
There are a lot of reasons to want a self-driving mower from Iowa Mobotics.
Being automated gives me more time to do my hobbies.
I travel so much for work that I don't have time to take care of the lawn, but I still care about how it looks.
And I'm just lazy.
Gives me time to work in the wood shop instead of spending it on the mower.
It works in my schedule.
And I just really hate doing it.
No matter your reason, with Iowa Mobotics, spend less time mowing, more time living.
Stephen Fuller. You can find Fuller Associates Family Dentistry on Facebook or Instagram or by calling us.
I'm a lifelong sports bettor and owner of Circa Sports. We built this platform for bettors that want high limits and total transparency.
Featuring tight money line splits, lowest holds, and exceptional live customer service.
Hi, how may I help you today?
Download your new bookie today, Circa Sports. Start betting like a pro.
Every business has priorities, and Priority One Heating and Cooling is no different. As a service provider, we prioritize quality air conditioners and furnaces that will keep your home at your comfort level year-round. As a small business, we prioritize doing things the right way and treating people fairly. As a truly local business, we prioritize our community. As a veteran-owned business, we prioritize duty and commitment. For big business service with local value, trust your home to the place where you are always priority one.
Hey, Tanner with Liberty Lawn and Landscape here. We are now booking, so get a hold of us to schedule your next project today. Serving the Des Moines Metro, we specialize in a variety of services such as retaining walls, paver patios, edging and rocking, and much more. Now offering 3D renderings to show you exactly how your project will look before beginning. Liberty is proudly veteran-owned and ready to serve you today.
The Lunch Rush will be right back, but so will more local, live, and everyday sports programs on the Rush Radio Network. Wake up with Travis Justice and Ross Peterson on The Rush from 6 to 8 a.m. and finish your day with Beyond the Bench with Sean Roberts and Lucas Strain from 4 to 6. Every show, every day on the Rush Radio Network.
There are a lot of reasons to want a self-driving mower from Iowa Mobotics.
Being automated gives me more time to do my hobbies.
I travel so much for work that I don't have time to take care of the lawn, but I still care about how it looks.
And I'm just lazy.
Gives me time to work in the wood shop instead of spending it on the mower.
It works in my schedule.
And I just really hate doing it.
No matter your reason, with Iowa Mobotics, spend less time mowing, more time living.
Trent Condon and The Lunch Rush on 102.1 FM and 1350 ESPN Des Moines.
Taking up until 1 o'clock here this afternoon. It is The Lunch Rush. Thanks for joining us. And as we go through our final full week of August, time once again to talk to the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He is Mitch Holthus, who joins us fresh off a trip to Tampa. And I've always said, Tampa, there is nothing better than Florida in August. Are you okay? Have you stopped the sweat? Are you all right as you're back to the Midwest?
Knowing how dumb I am, we actually had a chance to get away before camp, and I went to Marco Island.
Ooh.
So, yeah, you go there in the spring or the winter. You don't go there in the summer. But I'm not very smart. You guys know that. So, yeah, we made it out of there. Although these preseason games, that's our 8th straight loss in the preseason, but it literally is Bill Murray smashing the alarm clock on Groundhog Day. It's over and over and over. These 8 losses, Trent, we have had the lead in the fourth quarter 5 of the 8.
Wow.
So it's the bottom end of your roster that's trying to, you're trying to get something out of that group, but then we got to figure it out. And then we had some other veteran guys that made mistakes. Andrew Wiley's third year in our system, and he's playing wing protector on the PAT, and he holds on the PAT with just kind of a half-hearted effort. It's like, come on, dude, man, let's go. So, and then you need Matt Araiza to get a punt. He put a 36-yarder. That flipped the game. Now, there's a lot of good things in this game, things that I like, and our rookie class continues to flash and continue to grow. And our Mason Thomas now, the second-round pick at the University of Oklahoma, is a speed off-edge rusher that we have not had in a while. And the comparisons, Trent, are to Nick Bonito, the outstanding edge rusher from the Denver Broncos, who, by the way, is from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, just like our Mason Thomas, and they both went to Oklahoma. So I asked our Mason, I said, what about the comparisons to Nick Bonito?
Yeah, I mean, I know I looked up to him, so I like it. I know I've been hitting him up because I got his number now. So, I mean, I take a lot of his game. Like, that's one of the reasons why I went to OU. So I that makes sense if they're comparing me to him because I watch, like, his film nonstop because, you know, when you go to OU, you get access to practice, the archives from his freshman year. So I know what he wore. I know what type of helmet he changed to. I know what cleats he wore, like all that type of stuff. I know if you look up a play, I don't know which year it is, so it makes sense.
Yeah, so that's music to my ears, actually, to hear a guy that is willing to learn and embraces the comparison to Nick Bonito because he's a mentor of his.
You have George Kaloftis out there. Our Mason Thomas, you anticipate he's going to get a little bit of run outside as well. A couple of guys that have been around for a while also. Defensive end, when you look at it, the production, the edge rush with what you have in Chris Jones and still hoping to get something in the middle, what he can do in disrupting things in the middle. Are you confident that they have enough guys that can get home this year at defensive end?
Well, I was just in discussion with Austin Woodard here, who helps me on the broadcast about that very thing. Yes, it's much better because you've got different guys. Now, let me tell you this as well about Chris. Peter Woods, and I'll feature him tomorrow, actually, on our discussion. But you've got Kairos Tonga, who's in the middle as well. That allows Chris to get outside. Now, if Chris will stay within the scheme, Chris becomes valuable on 5 technique or 7 technique on the outside, 7 technique, where he's got the ability to use his 7'1" wingspan. And if you've got enough pressure in the middle, you're going to get single blocks. So it's not just Chris to the inside. If you get outside help, you get inside help and put Chris on the outside, if that makes sense. Now, the injury to Ashton Gelati is a setback. But we saw Felix Anudike-Uzama, the K-State kid who was first-round pick in 23, who was Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. He showed up the other night, his best game. And it wasn't just the sack where he obliterates Jake Browning, but it was other things that he did. Very active all night long. So to answer your question, I say yes, or at least way better than they've been even the last 3 years on the edge.
One of the big stories is Harrison Butker. People see that bomb of a field goal that he made. There's a couple other components, though. A missed extra point, but that was after a penalty. How much that kind of messes with the mind of a kicker as they hit the upright on the second attempt of the extra point. And then, of course, down the stretch with an opportunity to take the lead and not getting that one home. Harrison Butker, I know a lot of people want to talk about a 69-yarder and how ridiculous that is, but I'm going to guess that he walked away not happy about the performance overall.
Well, yeah, but okay, this goes into this discussion. Bud has been smoking field goals all throughout training camp, like the extra 6 weeks where he's not trying to hit, 57-yarders in the Super Bowl off the NFL logo and doing that for a 7-year span. He may have benefited as much as anybody of getting his, real leg back. So he hammers the 69, could have been good from 73. The all-time kick in NFL history in the preseason is 70 by Cam Little, who's got it also in the regular season with 68. Well, here's Butt with a 69-yarder, 11 years into his career, 10 years into his career. But then the holding call by Wiley pushes it back 10 yards. Now he's he's got to kick a 43-yard PAT and misses it. And all of a sudden that just gets in his head, and the next field goal attempt is exactly 43 yards. It's going the other way, but now it's you're playing golf, and you're on 15, and you're 3 under, having the best round of your life. You're just playing out of your mind. And then somebody yells at you on 16 tee box, and you hit it out of bounds. Now on 17, you're going, well, I'm not having the best round of my life, but I could. But I'm now, and then you hit it out of bounds again on 17. That's not far from the truth of the analogy here. That's why Jared Wiley's got to make the block on the edge just to keep everything flowing. Because you throw it off one little bit, and you can have a kicker trying to fight his way back. It's why everything matters. Every little thing matters, even in a preseason game. It's what I love about football, but what drives you crazy about football, because so many little things are important.
We started with the rookie talking about our Mason Thomas. Let's talk about the rookie here from Iowa in Xavier Wampa. You said it was an important one for him on Saturday for him. He's played well at practice for it to translate to the field. How did it go for Xavier Wampa?
Better than the Rams game. And what was interesting, because Alohi Gilman had a back tighten up on him during pregame, and so Wampa started the game. When I'm giving off the defensive starters, I'm like, ooh, Wampa's out there. And then we got word that Alohi Gilman's back was tightening up. So Wampa got a lot of snaps and had a much better game. He was aggressive, not just in tackling, but in coverage. So he didn't do the. Okay, I'll just say this. There are guys, in my opinion, that have been around our program for a couple of years who are really getting close to playing their way off the team. We got a bunch of young guys or new guys that are fighting to get on the team, and Wampa's one of those. We have 7 draft picks, and I could tell you there's a green light on all 7. Jaden Kennedy, the slot corners, hasn't had good games, but we've seen the potential in practice. The other 6, those draftees, are all green light moving forward. Then you throw in a undrafted free agent like Wampa, and he's doing the same thing. Well, to make room for all those guys, somebody has to go. And there are guys that we have had in our system for a while that could be surprise cuts because these young guys are passing them up, and Wampa's right in that discussion.
Finally, I want to talk a little bit with you about, of course, quarterback, and we didn't see Patrick Mahomes out there. Any anticipation? I know there's nothing official out there, at least that I have seen yet, about him playing in the 3rd preseason game. And then what you've seen from all the different guys, varying degrees. Justin Fields, who we knew certainly back in his day with the Bears and then the Jets. Garrett Nussmeier, what you've seen out of the youngster, out of him. And then Ola Dukin, who's been kind of part of our life now the last couple of seasons. He's been a fun player to watch. Quarterbacks overall, let's start with Mahomes. Any hope, any thoughts of him playing in preseason game number 3?
He's in. He's going to play. Okay. And it's one of the more remarkable things I've ever seen. My first minute with Mitch that you'll see on Fox 17 up there will be featuring that, because it really is remarkable. All right, just put that aside. Now the discussion on August the 24th becomes, are you going to keep 3 quarterbacks or 2? And if you keep 2, who goes of the next 2 in the discussion? And that's Fields and Garrett Nussmeier. Now, Fields has 8 NFL records, but they're all rushing quarterback records. And so what Justin's got to prove, and he's still trying to prove it, even from his time with the Bears, is that he's a complete quarterback, not just a runner. The guy had 1,100 yards rushing as a quarterback. It's not a record, and he's like in the same discussion in that category with Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick. That's him as a runner. But in the NFL, unless you're going to run West Point's offense, you can't do that all the time. So passing and understanding, and you look at Nussmeier, he has vision, he has quick release, he has the ability to read defenses. His dad is defensive coordinator of the Saints, and he's shown that in practice and games. He's done it now every time he's been on the field. There hasn't been one. Now, he might throw into coverage, and maybe right now in the preseason he's instructed to do that. But there hasn't been one time where he's gone out and just soiled the bed. Not one time. Not in practice, not in rookie minicamp, not in minicamp, not in preseason games. So now you start to realize maybe he can become a viable backup, and then you've got a bigger decision to make. Ola Dukin has been around since 2022. He basically is Mahomes' caddy, and that's a pretty good role to have, but where do you put him on the team? But he literally is like Mahomes uses 7-iron here. He's super smart, but right now he's more of a coach than a viable player.
It is back to school day here. A lot of tired parents, a lot of tired kids. Don't want to cook when you get home tonight. How about a little pizza from Papa John's, Mitch?
Can you take Papa John's to school?
I could.
I could too. I mean, I have to go to the principal's office,
yeah.
but you know why I'm going to the principal's office? The principal wants some pizza.
That's right.
That's why. He goes, you're in trouble, but let me have some of that pizza. So right now, epic pepperoni, epic crust pepperoni, only $14.99. That's for my friends Tom and Matt Donaldson and all of their managers at Papa John's of Iowa. And what they do for the state, as well as sell pizza, is do so many other things to help Des Moines and the areas thereof. So I'll check in with Wampa later in the week for you guys and get an update from him. But, yeah, we're continuing to monitor that situation because it's worthwhile to do so.
No doubt about it. Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you, Mitch.
Thanks, Trent.
We'll talk to him again tomorrow and each and every day here throughout August camp, finishing things up with Mitch, and always enjoy the conversation with him. We wrap things up each and every day with picks presented by Circa Sports. And if you've been judging over the last week, they have been terrible from not just me. Drew has not been helping out. Drew, that's supposed to be your other job. Let's get into our picks.
It's time for Trent's Picks of the Day, presented by Circa Sports. Trent is not a professional bettor or a tout, just a guy that loves betting sports every day, usually poorly. Here's Trent.
Usually poorly. Good thing we put the caveat in there. Drew, you've not been much better, though.
No.
It was rough Friday. It was rough all week for me.
Yep.
Would I have one day? I think I even had a winning record. There were some 0-4s in there. It was brutal. So let's get into it. Over the last week, by the way, I am 8-19, down 12.9 units. Good God, that's even worse than I thought. I got 6 today. What do you got for us?
I have 3, but 2 are in a parlay.
Oh, putting it together.
Yep, right, yeah. Yep. Going back to baseball, 2-leg parlay. Going to take Phillies money line and Wheeler under 7.5 Ks.
All right, gotcha.
Get that plus 223.
Plus 223. We need those. So we need to stack up that bankroll. All right, plus 223.
And then I got Rangers money line against the White Sox tonight.
Rangers on the money line again. All right. The Rangers, they're hanging in there. Them and the Astros fighting for that division crown, and with it, the number 6 seed also in the American League playoffs. All right, this is what I got tonight. 2 baseball games and then 4 props for you. We're going to kick things off. 2 favorites tonight. Give me the Rays against the Tigers. Tigers are ice cold. We'll go minus 124 with them. Rasmussen's on the mound for Tampa. And then I'm going to go with the Guardians, who are starting to heat up themselves, minus 156. So we're playing the streaks, both against them and with them in those 2 games. Mentioned Rasmussen. I'm going to go over 4.5 strikeouts for him. Cavalli gets the ball against the Rockies tonight for the Nationals. Saw him. He's really fun to watch. 6.5 strikeouts. We'll go over on that front. Got a hitting prop. We just need a hit out of Jung-Hoo Lee for the Giants tonight. Just get a hit. We're good. That's all I'm asking. Not a ton. And then finally, we're going to go off the board a little bit deeper here. Cody Clemens for my Twins. They're playing in that bandbox in Sacramento. Hits a home run tonight. Plus 435 at Circa. We'll just throw a half unit on that one. Having a little bit of fun. 6 picks overall for Major League Baseball. Clemens goes deep. We're going to be in good shape. And let's stack up some victories. Let's get a good start. What do you say?
Let's do it.
We'll do it. No doubt about it. That's Drew Reinhardt, my radio producer here on The Lunch Rush, presented by Circa Sports, and those are our picks each and every day here as well. Thanks to Mitch Holthus for joining us. Thanks to Eliot Clough. We talked some Hawkeyes with him. Bill Seals on the Cyclones, and Matt Snyder as well for joining us. It's quarterback week, and coming up tomorrow on the show, we're going to go through and rank the quarterbacks in the NFL. Later in the week, we'll hit the Big Ten and the Big 12 also. Quarterback week here. It starts tomorrow with the NFL. Rush Carew from Graphite Construction Group will join us. Out of here for today. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. America's turning 250 this year, and Circa Sports is celebrating by offering all